It's Wednesday, October 4th. I'm Matt Harmon. Welcome to Ekeler's Edge, presented by Toyota, part of the Yahoo Fantasy Football Show. It is an absolutely pristine, it's a hell of a day to talk ball. And joining me to do just that is Los Angeles Chargers running back Austin Ekeler. Austin, what's going on, man?
Matt, we're back, baby. What to do? How's it going? Hope all is well with you. I am officially on the bye. I'm chilling on the bye now. It's time for me to get my feet back underneath me, relax a little bit, step away from football, so we can hit the ground sprinting when it comes to Monday Night Football against the Cowboys, man. But till then, let's get a great episode in, brother.
Yeah, happy for you on the bye. We'll talk about the bye. I'm very excited about this episode. Like, I can kind of not contain my excitement for this episode because we have a big segment coming up later where we're going to talk the first round rookies, sort of do like a check-in on these guys that were drafted in round one and how they've been through 4 games in the NFL. Austin, I was supposed to mow my lawn and do some responsible stuff this morning, and 2 hours into just my work before that, I was like, screw it. I'm gonna chart so much film on all of these rookies to be coming in, dialed in, and prepared for this episode. So I'm gassed up. I hope you are as well.
Yes, absolutely. I cannot be more excited for another great episode, my man.
All right. So yeah, as we mentioned, Austin, you're heading into the bye. Obviously, we know you haven't played the last few games here. As you prepare to go into the bye, sort of just give us I don't know, what are bye weeks like for players? How is it different for you this year? Just kind of the whole thing.
Yeah. The bye week can be so different for just depending on who you are, what you like to do. Some people might travel, go, see some family, go somewhere, just to get away from football. That's one of the main things that we like to do, is just kind of deload from the stress put on us in our daily life of being an NFL player, as far as the pressure, right? The routine, kind of break it up a little bit just to get your mind off of it, spend some time with some loved ones. So pretty much everyone, I would say, does that to some capacity. And, for me, it's no different. But then I'm dealing with an injury, which when you have injuries during the bye week, it's the worst thing, because you can't leave. You have to go to treatment.
Right.
For obvious reasons. You got to get back on the field. And I wasn't going to go anywhere anyway. I was going to stay out here. So it didn't put too many kinks in my routine and where I was going. But yeah, I'll be back on the field. I was there this morning. I'll be there pretty much all week, making sure getting this ankle ready to go. And the bye week's a great time for not only, to get your body back, but also kind of a mental reset. And for us, it's actually an evaluation process that the coaches also go through too. We'll do our self-reflecting, self-evaluating. I was talking to our running back coach yesterday. He's like, it's kind of tough having, by this early with this evaluation process. Now we only have 4 games to really evaluate.
Yeah.
To see
that was the thing I was going to ask you with the early bye. Is that different? Because some buys also come week 13, 14, and yours is coming the first possible available one. Which, yeah. But the extremes seem a little weird to me.
Yeah, this is what I've learned in the NFL is the bye week always comes at a good time. People are like, the bye week came at a perfect time for us. Well, it seems to always come at a perfect time. And why is that? Well, because this is an extremely violent game and there's always people that are banged up, have nicks here and there, right? You're always trying to get back. It's a never ending cycle in the NFL. And so when you get the bye week, no matter if it's the first week or the last week or anything in between, it's always going to be this feeling of, it's good we have it this week so you can get some guys back in. It's no different for us, right? We had, Justin Herbert with his finger. We had Derwin who didn't play. I didn't play. Bosa didn't play. We had some other guys sitting out. And so we had a lot of guys that are on the sidelines. And, I'll say it again, the bye week can never not come at a good time. And so, played itself out for us again. And hopefully we can get some of these guys back with this, week and then another week preparing for the Monday night game. And we get an extra day because it's a Monday night game. So that plays a factor into it as well. So get a lot of time to get your team ready to go mentally and physically. And so for us, I think it's great. At the end of the day, it always kind of manages itself out because you also have a Thursday night game, which gives you an extra couple days in there as well. We have that towards the end of the season, but for the most part, you get in a routine as long as you're healthy, and then you can pretty much sustain it the rest of the season. So I'm excited because my progress is continuing to get to a point where it's like, hey, okay, this thing is ready to get freaking on the dang field. I know I know everyone else has been for me, but I know this bye week has been a blessing for me. I've been fortunate to have it at this time just with my injury.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to me. So we're hoping the best during the bye week, that all these treatment sessions that you got to go to get you pushing in the right direction, buddy. That would be great. You caused a minor stir on Sunday. I never, ever would like text you on game day, but I had to break the rule here because, you send this like, a tweet comes from your account, post on X, whatever we're supposed to call it, of like just you, not obviously that day, but like a picture of you standing in front of the field with the lightning bolt. I got people hitting me up left and right, and it piqued my curiosity enough. Like, how do you interpret this tweet? And I'm like, dude, I don't know how to psychoanalyze this guy's tweets or any of your tweets out there, all of you people. So I did text Austin like, yo, just to be clear, like you're not playing today, right?
Yeah, man. It wasn't just you and, your friends. I had actually hundreds of DMs.
I'm sure.
It just, are you playing? What does this mean? You better get your ass on the field. Like everything of everyone just interpreting this in the way they want to, right?
I want to be clear. I did not say you better get your ass on the field.
Yeah. Here's the thing. People always interpret it the way that is beneficial for them, right? They're like, this is great. Like, you're going to play. Great. No, it was just a simple game day tweet, just supporting, hey, we're back out there as a team. And so, yeah, that's why I had no caption. There was nothing of that. I didn't want to signal to anybody, anything like that. I didn't want to even say that I wasn't or was playing because there's like certain things that I can and can't say. And so the simple emoji will cover for that. But, looking in the future, it's looking much better, and so maybe get an actual game day tweet or quote with me, saying some words about me playing or something. I don't know. We'll see.
There we go. Yeah, there's a few times every now and again where I think like fantasy football has jumped the shark. That was definitely one of them. When I've got people hitting me up like, what does this mean? I don't know. It's just a picture of him. Anyways, speaking of breaks, the break might be over here for Jonathan Taylor. Coming up here pretty soon. Jonathan Taylor set to return off the PUP. I am curious, like we haven't heard from Jonathan Taylor yet. Does he still want to play for this team? Obviously, there was a contract dispute and a trade request put in, everything like that. But I will tell you what, Austin, let's say theoretically he suits back up for this Colts offense. I think from like a fantasy perspective, his stock, even though he's been away from the game, has actually risen because I think this Colts offense with Anthony Richardson, who we'll talk about later, he's only played in 3 of the 4 games because he missed one with the concussion. I actually think this offense looks really good. And like Zach Moss has been productive. He's on my fantasy team in the Ekeler's league. But I think JT could obviously do even more there if he is out on the field for these guys. Yeah,
I mean, we know how dynamic JT is. This guy, man, just an absolute baller, wants to be on the field, of course. And so I'm curious where he is in his training, honestly, where it's like, okay, is he cleared to like start practicing again? Or has he been like working up to that capacity to take on a full game now? I'd be interested to hear and kind of just see how that plays out. Obviously, he's going to stay kind of under the radar for all of this stuff, just for obvious reasons, and making sure that, okay, this thing is ready when I say it's ready. And so for me, that's what I'm looking at. Like, is he going to be able to take a full workload right off the jump? Are they going to kind of ease him in? And it's different for everyone. I remember my hamstring 3 years ago, where it was like, we're kind of ease you into it. And I was ready to go. I pretty much played the entire game. They're like, you're good. If you feel good, you go. And so it might be one of those where it's like, okay, like JT, let's see how you feel. Let's, get you back into practice, all of that. But if he's ready to go, they might start giving this man the full workload. And then something that also that is, not great, for any position is it's just missing that much time, missing all of training camp, like all of the 11 on 11, because you can do a bunch of drills at home, but you can't simulate, the speed of the game, doing the actual full speed reads, the sudden quickness, the unexpected people flying around, getting hit, getting tackled in awkward positions, all of these things, stiff arming, all of these different things that as a running back that can make you dynamic, that makes him special, running through arm tackles, things like that. You can't simulate. So it takes a while to get your feet underneath you. Not saying it takes forever. I mean, he's still a player, still very productive, but it'd be interesting to see how he can adjust back to the game after missing all of that time, and especially dealing with, the injury. If is it a 90%? And it's like you can play on a 90% kind of thing, or is it straight up 100%? Like he needs no brace, he's good to go type of situation. So regardless, I want to see my man on the field because man, yeah, he's one of the guys that's leading the way for us in the running back position, and not having him on the field just hurts the game in general because he's so dynamic and fun to watch.
Yeah, one of the quotes from the preseason that is still sort of stuck in my head is Sean McVay saying there's a difference between return to play and return to performance in regards to Cooper Kupp, who's also coming off IR with a hamstring injury, and like the difference between them is huge. And I think that means, like, we just do this a lot, like, oh, this guy's back, right? Like, he's back, but like, how back is he? You know what I mean? I mean, Joe Burrow and the Bengals, perfect example. Like I said this on our show yesterday. Somebody is wearing number 9 for the Bengals back there, but he doesn't look like Joe Burrow, right? Because he's clearly still dealing with this calf injury, at least, to my eye, I think that's the case. So JT is going to be a big guy to watch just because, again, yeah, I'm really liked what I've seen from that offense. And by the way, this is a new offense to him too, that he doesn't have experience in because of the training camp, missing that with the injury and everything.
Yep, absolutely. So like I said, I think the mesh will be fine. Look, at the end of the day, all offenses run the same types of run plays. And so, we just call him different things. So he's going to have to learn a new language, but yeah, he's a smart guy. He'll get it.
Yeah, very excited. I can't wait to see him back out there. Mentioned it earlier, Austin, the fantasy league, where I do have Zach Moss, and he's been performing for me, but not performing as well as Austin Ekeler's team, who remains undefeated. Austin is 4-0. He is tied with Chris Harris at the top of this league. Unbelievable. Technically, Harris is in first place. I'm sure it's like a strength of schedule points, type of thing. But anyways, undefeated so far, Austin. Just, again, shout out, man. Shout out.
I appreciate it. And, I think it all comes back to, the obvious thing at the very beginning of the season when we got those, draft ratings. We saw this playing out. We saw it playing out. I had an A, and so it just makes sense that, my team's, kicking butt. So
I will say on the draft grades, like the big joke with draft grades is, okay, well, Yahoo always just gives an A to whoever takes like the first kicker and the first defense, which is usually such a bozo thing to do. But your MVP is probably the Dallas defense right now.
Look, I can't give credit to myself saying that I saw this coming. I knew they were a good defense, and I know they still are a good defense because we didn't play against them last year, but we played against them in training camp. And they had this package where it was 5 defensive linemen, and then they played Micah as the dang Mike linebacker. And so our 5 linemen have to block Micah. And I had to block the D lineman, and I had to block Micah. And I was like, this is a problem. This is a problem. Because, I mean, our offensive lineman can't even block this guy. And now you're putting a 5'8", 195-pound guy that's supposed to block this guy. It was hilarious. We were doing one-on-ones, and I was like, bro, how do I block you? He's like, you got to cut. He's like, you got to cut block me. Like, all right, we'll be ready for it because hey, we got Monday Night Football, and I haven't forgot.
Keep that up here.
But man, yeah, their defense is dynamic, and sheesh, they've been scoring, man. They got to be like on a record, or have already set a record as far as like the most scoring, and it's only like 6 games in, or week 5, 4 games in, they've scored like 4 touchdowns already.
Yeah, 37 fantasy points in week 1, a little ho-hum 15 in week 2. They did have 1 point in the Arizona game in week 3. I might have cursed them. Yeah, that was your fault. 27 points last week against the New England Patriots. 2 sacks, 2 picks, fumble recovery, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, they scored 4 touchdowns overall on defense. It's just like absolutely ridiculous stuff.
They have more touchdowns than probably a lot of running backs out there, including myself. Sheesh. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to Herb. He's been playing well. And then I have this kind of like fluctuation of guys that have been kind of popping off between Brandon Ayuk, Devontae Adams, and then Josh Jacobs ended up kind of just carrying the offense with the Raiders quarterback being out. He was kind of the go-to there, so that kind of helped out for me.
81 receiving yards. Obviously, you got a young quarterback in there. Khalil Mack turning back the clock. Vendetta against his former team. This was a big L week 4 for like, oh, this rookie quarterback played well. There's day 3 rookie quarterback plays well in the preseason, and like you get Aiden O'Connell back there. God bless his soul. Just getting eaten alive by Khalil Mack. So a lot of checkdowns to old Josh Jacobs there.
Exactly. Yeah, the Mack attack was in full force. Yeah, 2 forced fumbles and 6 sacks and 10 tackles. Wow. career day. Have a day, Khalil Mack, to one of the best to ever do it, man. Sheesh.
Yeah, pretty incredible. DeAndre Swift is also. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. I was gonna get onto your team and let's see what's going on over there because I think you got to win. I think you're 3-1, right?
I'm 2-2. I'm in fifth place. I beat Faraz, who is yet to, shout out to Faraz, man. He is yet to win the game, yet to get off the schneid. And he had massive games, by the way, from Derrick Henry and Puka Nacua, the Rams rookie receiver. Both of those guys had over 20 points, but shout out to Nico Collins, baby. Nico Collins coming through with a 32.3 outing against the damn Steelers, which was half of my bold prediction was pro Nico Collins. The other half, Tank Dell, the other receiver, he gave it all to Nico. Which, hey, since Nico's on my fantasy team, I'm okay with that. I'm all right taking the L on the bold prediction and getting the massive game from Nico, who was one of my guys for years. So pretty cool for the season he's having is incredible. I'm in a little bit of a tough spot this week, because I got a lot of dudes on bye. I've got Tyler Lockett on bye. You obviously are on bye. Mm-hmm. I got this Zach Moss thing because we just talked about Jonathan Taylor's going to be back. Pat Freiermuth, my starting tight end, is doubtful now. He's probably not going to play for the next couple weeks. My backup tight end, Luke Musgrave, is questionable. So I got some defense and kicker on bye. I might just have to take an L this week. We'll see.
I mean, are you looking for a trade? I might have to whip something up. Yeah,
You want this Austin Ekeler guy? He's been just burning a hole in my bench.
Yeah, I think you should probably get rid of that guy. He's been on bye for the past 4 weeks. So I think Swift for Ekeler.
There's nothing I love more, Austin, than to hold a guy through his injury and then have someone come in and be like, "Hey, you wanna make a trade? You want this guy now since you've been hanging on to him for the moment, the reward when he finally comes back." And then I'm like, actually, I'll just bail right now. This is the time to bail.
All right. Maybe next week. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah. All right. With that, let's get into the main portion of the show today. We talked about it last week. Austin, you had the idea to sort of do a rookie report check-in on the first round picks. The guys went in the first round of the NFL draft this past year and see what they've been doing so far. And it is a very interesting mixed bag of players here. We're going to go through all the positions. We're going to do quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Like I said, I was gassed up about this morning. I've already looked at these guys at the various points across the season so far, but I went and did a little more work, charted some more films, did a little reception perception on some of these guys. So I'm excited to talk about it. I know Austin is as well. Before we do that, though, just massive caveat here. This is 4 games into these guys' career. This does not define them right now. What we say, if we say negative things, it doesn't mean that their career is over. Okay, right? This is a caveat for these guys are rookies, right? Like these, you know this yourself, Austin, right? Like your first career carry, producer Colin noted this, didn't come until 3-4 games into your rookie season. Yeah, week 3. And you took, by the way, you housed it 35 yards and a touchdown. Shout out to you. You remembered that right off the bat.
Right up the middle, baby. Boom. 30 cheese. I remember it like it was yesterday. I just vividly. Yeah. But anyway.
That's amazing. But yeah, no, and obviously your career has evolved since then. These are marathons, not sprints.
Yes. I will say this. We won't speak negatively. I would say constructively. Like that's how I would be speaking, where it's like, hey, this is what I see. This is why maybe these people aren't in a situation where they maybe were thought to have been by this point in their, in the career, because they were a first round pick, which everyone gets so excited about. But then you guys got to realize they're going against people like myself that have been playing for 6-7 years, that have all this knowledge, have this experience, have this trust. And so you don't just get to come in. A lot of guys don't just come in and start playing right away. Even if they're a first round pick, they still got to, get their feet underneath them, learn about all this stuff. First round pick to me really just says you have the capabilities. And now you have to actually go out there and compute that and make it efficient and actually put that on the field. So let's get into it, man. I'm excited as well.
Yeah, let's start out with quarterbacks, because quarterbacks are sexy, and it's a buzzy position, and this group is really interesting. Starting off with the first overall pick, Bryce Young. I tell you what, there is already panic from Panthers fan. There's already national media criticism. Did we take the wrong guy with Bryce Young? And I will say, I grew up a Panthers fan. I don't care about the team anymore. Yeah. Yeah. My whole family's from Carolina. So I was certainly not going to be, a Washington fan growing up, in Virginia. Cause what a torture chamber that was. Yeah. So but at this point, I'm not really a fan because, it's just, this is my job. So, it is what it is. Anyways, so I know a lot of Panthers fans. I know how they feel about this. And I do understand the sentiment when you got CJ Stroud balling out and like Anthony Richardson looks real good and it's like not going so well for Bryce Young. There is a lot of panic. So I don't know. What are your thoughts just on the whole Bryce Young situation?
Oh, quarterbacks. It's definitely the hardest position to master mentally. And the thing is, even if you do master it the mental part of it, you still have to have other people around. You rely on a lot of people around you. You rely on your O-line, you rely on your receivers being in the right spot, you rely on the running game, on top of relying on yourself to be able to make the right decisions and put the ball in the right spot and make the right choices and have good pocket awareness, have good velocity, have good game management, understand the plays. And so this is definitely the position that, as we in the football world know, takes the longest to develop and master because it has the highest ceiling, but it also is the toughest to learn. That's why these guys are getting paid what they're getting paid. They're getting paid 50-something million a year to do this because not everyone can do it at the high level of all the responsibilities. And so, like we said, this is game 4. And so, when it comes into the Panthers, and look, it's no secret the Panthers have been struggling in the past too, so it seems like they have some more pieces to continue to build up around. It's not just like you can plug in a guy and he's just going to turn around your whole system, and whole career and everything, especially, a rookie. If you get, like a vet, maybe there's a better chance. But for a rookie, that's so speculative if you're thinking that's going to happen. And so, it's not that, hey, this kid isn't going to get it done, isn't the answer. It's that, hey, it seems like there's a lot more going on than just the quarterback position that needs to continue to get better. And that's exactly what they're trying to do when they're trying to draft a rookie quarterback. Like, hey, let's build around this guy. This is his first year. There's kind of like an expectation for him to, be this leader, but then not as far as, hey, he's not going to win you the Super Bowl kind of in his rookie year type of thing. So I think it's more of like, let's build around him and let's build it up over time, which sucks because then you have these seasons where you're like, like you're still cheering, you want your team to do great, but it's like, like the expectations it's kind of cloudy. It's kind of cloudy as far as what the future is going to look like.
And it stinks, I know, for fans when you give up. Look, they had to give up a lot to go from the 9th pick to the 1st overall pick. So they gave up next year's 1st round pick. And now you're looking at all the draft projected standings, which not good 4 weeks into the season when you're looking at the draft projected standings. Like that should kind of be the farthest thing from your mind. But, they're projected to have like a top 2 draft pick at this point, and they gave that pick to the Bears, who also, not so coincidentally, have the other projected top 2 pick. So that's tough for fans. But look, you're right. The surrounding cast in Carolina, compared to the next 2 guys we're going to talk about, like it's just not the same level. And they're breaking, like part of the reason they gave up, or part of how they got to the 1st overall pick was they gave up DJ Moore, who was like an established, proven receiver. So it's like you kind of have to, cut off one hand to serve the other or whatever. I don't know if that analogy made any damn sense, but yeah, that's tough.
Here's the thing. You do have one benefit with the rookie quarterback, and that is you don't have to pay this guy $50 million so you can go pay guys around him. And so, that's an edge that every team with a rookie quarterback has where, hey, we have this window where we can keep some of the cap space out of the quarterback room and put it in other places to build them around. I think you see that, flawlessly over in San Fran right now, where it's like, man, they got Purdy on this rookie contract and they got all these guys around this guy. So we'll see how these years develop in the future around him.
The 2nd overall pick, CJ Stroud, who was the guy I really wanted the Panthers to take 1st overall. So, when I say this, maybe all bias admitted, but we typically, Austin, especially in fantasy, don't expect much from rookie quarterbacks, especially guys who aren't, Lamar Jackson style runners or something like that. CJ Stroud is the 10th overall fantasy quarterback right now. This dude has been absolutely balling out. And the one thing I love about CJ is that he has just got such a live arm. You can kind of layer it all over the field. And I think the weapons there are underrated, man. I love Nico Collins, who I just talked about. Yes, like this guy is a dude at the X receiver position, and I love the way they have him working over the middle of the field. Even despite the fact the offensive line has been banged up, CJ Stroud has been really, really good so far.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of his film, but I'm just looking at these games, and you're putting up 37 points, on the Jags, and putting up 30 points against the Steelers defense, which I believe is the strength of that entire team. It has been for a while, and it's been like, okay, like they got something going on over there.
No picks through
and 0 picks.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he's good. He's good, and he hasn't taken like a ton of sacks either. Again, despite the fact that he's playing behind a makeshift offensive line. So the future is really bright in Houston. I don't know if like from a fantasy angle, he'll continue to put up top 10 quarterback numbers, but I'll tell you what, I'm inching him up the rankings, right, going forward, because he's just been that good. Let's talk about Anthony Richardson here real quick, the last quarterback. He, again, has played 3 games total. He went out early in the second game, but you've seen some of the accuracy concerns that people had coming into the league, but you know what you've also seen, man? A coaching staff that has a plan for him. They've designed a lot of like that quarterback run game with him. They've also given him the liberty to scramble. And again, I think this supporting cast is pretty underrated. Michael Pittman has been balling out this year. I think the offensive line has taken a step forward. So I think that's the thing that I take from these 3 quarterbacks. I don't know about you, Austin, but like, environment and where you land matters so much as you are adjusting to the speed of the game.
100%. I mean, just look at our quarterback. Look at Justin Herbert. Like he came in where like he's a stud, but we have like weapons ready to go for him. And so like we're ready to make this playoff run. We're ready to go. We missed the playoffs, but then the next year we come back and it's like boom, right? Barely missed the playoffs, and then get into the playoffs. Now he's going into year 4. And those it matters so much in that system where you're at. We bring out a new coaching. We had Joe Lombardi. Now we have Kellen Moore, and so like we're bringing in new pieces to fit this guy's style to bring around here. And hey, we want to throw the ball down the field. Let's bring in Kellen Moore, right? And so when you come into a system and everything is built around you in your play style as a quarterback, obviously it's going to give you the best option or opportunity to have success. And if this guy's going to be running around like kind of like a more Lamar Jackson type of, hey, I can throw, I can run, I can be athletic. Even like a Jalen Hurts type, where it's like, hey, I can run if I have to and be effective in that game. Like let's give him that option. And especially when you're younger. I think it helps a little bit more because you're still learning, right? You're still getting around that. Like even I think you watch Lamar Jackson now, like he's not running as much as he used to. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's because of injuries, but I think it's honestly because of he's getting older. He's understanding the game more. And so now he's not relying on his feet because now he's able to sling the thing. He's on the time. He can still be dynamic in the running part of it, but having that as an effective tool, I think it definitely helps you. We see it in all these, even Mahomes, like you even see that guy. He's not like dynamic like Andrew, like Lamar, but this man can run. It's not always the prettiest thing, but it takes your quarterback play to the next level. We see Justin Herbert do it too. He ran in for 2 touchdowns this last week, and so I think it helps you. It helps your entire offense, helps you buy time as a quarterback, because now if things go down, if things go wrong or to the south, no one's open, guess what? I'm scrambling, I'm running, I'm picking up with my legs. So for sure.
You mentioned the name Jalen Hurts, and not so coincidentally, Shane Steichen, the current Colts head coach, was the Eagles offensive coordinator last year. So they know what they're doing with that type of quarterback. Let's talk running backs, man. Your position, Bijan Robinson, 8th overall. He has been pretty much as advertised so far. He's been pretty incredible. Right now, he is currently the 6th. Oh, God. It's Bijan Robinson, 6th best fantasy running back. 7th is Brian Robinson. That's confusing from Washington. But Bijan's been awesome. He's been incredible in the passing game. He actually has 19 catches, which is the most, one more than Christian McCaffrey among running backs right now. And I've noticed this too, Austin. His snaps have gone like increasingly up, and Tyler Algier, who's a good back, his snaps have gone increasingly down every single week. 56% week 1, 44%, 30%, 26% for Algier every week. Which I get it, because I don't know what you see when you watch this guy, but when I watch him, I'm like, yeah, he's just like most dynamic player on the field. You want to get him the ball as much as possible.
Yeah, and this is one of those cases of earning reps. And you've heard me say it a couple times on this. Like that's what it comes down to. Can you earn reps, which means a lot of things. It means you're earning trust. But in Bijan's case, he has been exactly what you just said. So dynamic. Like this man, like. He's big, he's powerful, he has great cuts, he can catch the ball, he can do it all. Like he is a do it all type of guy, and not just I can do it all, but he can do it at a very high level. And exactly, you said as advertised, it's showing up. And so if you continue to do that, guess what? You're going to earn more reps. And it's nothing against Tyler Algier. He's still a good player as well. He's shown that he's still continuing to play at a high level too. But it's like I look at it as like even the San Francisco situation where they have Elijah Mitchell, who's a good player, good running back, but they also have Christian McCaffrey, who's like the most dynamic running back in the league right now and going crazy. And it's like, well, how can we not give this guy more reps? Like, look what he's doing. He's earning that. And, I think we're saying that here with Bijan. It's not to say that he's going to get every single rep, because I think there's a balance that you want to keep with both of your running backs to make sure you can kind of maximize their freshness and their ability to stay healthy, which I think we're seeing that play out. So I think he's a perfect opportunity, perfect position for both of those guys that are just battling out to try to make sure that, hey, who can be more dynamic? Bijan is definitely, I think, winning that race so far. And yeah, he's been fun to watch.
Just needs the Falcons offense to catch up to him right at this point. The passing game. I'll tell you what, I gotta give you a shout out here, Austin, because you mentioned the whole part about Tua's ball handling and how good that is and like the play action fake stuff. And it was killing me. I mean, no disrespect to Desmond Ridder, but it was killing me like watching him just not really have that same like precision. Watch especially the London game against the Jags, like just kind of, it was so obvious when it was going to be run or pass, just based on, even if it looked right schematically, based on his ball handling against the Jaguars in the London game. And I'm like, man, it just, he's a young quarterback. He's still getting his first reps in and stuff, but that was just part of I got to give you a shout out for that, because I hadn't thought about it really until you mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the defense, I mean, these guys are smart. They look at all of these things. They look at keys. They'll know if I'm 6 inches wider than I usually am. And our defense, they have these checks that they make, and they'll make their check, basically saying the back's wide, or back's tight, or back's deep, or back shallow. Like, just my alignment is telling them, and they have all these checks and what are the tendencies when this person's in this spot? Yeah. What are the 4 routes the guy runs from this position? When this guy goes in motion, what does he usually do? Like, they know exactly what everything is, and so they have all these keys, and a lot of it comes from the quarterback too. Like, what's his demeanor? What's the position? Is when he does a play fake, he doesn't actually put it in the belly. He just kind of, puts it out there, flashes it, and drops back. So if he puts in the belly, it's run. Right. So all of these little things that makes such a huge difference. And it's little things, because it can put people, hold them for a split second. Now we can get a tight end behind somebody because they didn't read pass soon enough. And so all of the stuff that builds up to make the NFL so amazing, that we're just studying to go out there and be as efficient we can. And it's what separates people. And we'll get into that with some of these other guys, but it's what can take people from, being that, half splitting, or even, that kind of like a third of the time, to starting to gain more opportunities. And I think in Bijan's case, he's just such a dynamic player, even though if he might not have the experience, he's just so good. You got to get him on the field, get the ball in his hands. So talent can actually, overcome some of those rookie things. But in the end, man, this guy's going to continue to learn the position, and I can't wait to watch this guy. Except against us, because I don't want it.
Fair enough.
we gotta hold this guy in the cage.
All right, so let's talk the other running back that was drafted in the first round, Jahmyr Gibbs, 12th overall pick to the Detroit Lions, and people in fantasy are pissed about this, okay? Because look, and this is why I say this is a personal accountability show. You people out there chose to take Jahmyr Gibbs in the 3rd round, which was probably a little high for a rookie back that was going to be sharing the load with a veteran in David Montgomery. So I asked you about this, like the whole situation, because I know people are very curious. So Jahmyr Gibbs, just like, David Montgomery comes off the injury report in week 4, and he gets like 30 damn carries, and Jahmyr Gibbs is kind of just a little bit of an afterthought. So are we surprised by this? Like, what do we think of this Lions backfield?
Yeah. So I went back and watched all these guys' reps. Because I was interested too, because I've seen some people out there crying about, Jahmyr Gibbs needs to get. So I'm like, all right, let's see what's going
tears.
on.
Yeah, there's tears, buddy. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, people are very upset. I'm like, okay, what the heck's what's going on over here? And so, just like I was talking about, like when I watched Jahmyr Gibbs, like solid, right? Get hydrated from the aquarium. There you go.
Yeah,
got that thing.
Got a big conversation coming up.
I gotta get the water.
Get
stuff right. But when I watched Jahmyr Gibbs, I could tell he's a rookie, and that doesn't mean that he's not like doing well. Like, he's dynamic, he's making good plays, he's hitting the right holes, things like that. But then there's just certain things that I see when I watch David Montgomery run that I'm like, yeah, that guy knows, that guy's been around for a while. And like, for instance, like running inside zones, and instead of just running to the open gap, making sure, like, what David does really well is he gets his shoulder square. He knows he's going to get to a gap, but then it's not just run and then kind of just run into it's run straight and then jump cut, explosive, sudden change of direction, getting in there. Another thing that I think he does well, Montgomery, is he takes on half a man really well, and which allows him to continue to run forward, puts himself in a body position where he can fall forward pretty much on every single play, which really stood out to me. I think he's playing really, really well from what I've seen from him. His wide zones, same thing, making sure he's pressing it. He has good tempo, just things that you see from a vet that has been around, who understands the game of football, and that's going to separate you from someone who's like a rookie who's coming in, who's still playing well, but just doesn't have those little keys that he needs to learn. And so with Jahmyr, like I said, he's hitting the right spots, but there's some suddenness to him that I see at times, but I'm like, I want to see that, in the preparation, in the approach, in the runs, and set yourself up so you can make it even more explosive. I think he's just tipping his runs a little bit more than he should be right now on some of his wide zones. And like I said, it just takes time. And I hope those guys are talking about that, whoever that running back coach is over there, just because there's little keys that can help him. Like I said, for the inside zone, that's the one that really stood out to me, where it was like, okay, let's get this guy's shoulder square. And then, let's say, there's an open gap to the left. Instead of just running into that, right? Let's hold the defense. Right? I have my aiming point that's a little bit wider. Let's hold them shoulder square, and at the last possible second, let me jump cut, sudden jump, and then get vertical in that, so you can hold those linebackers a little bit longer, which I see David doing, whether he knows it or not, which I'm sure he does. He's been around this is like his 5th year or something. It makes a difference. It makes a difference between running through an arm tackle or running fully into somebody. And so he just looks a little green. I say this not to say that he doesn't look good, because he definitely looks good. He's ready to play in the NFL.
Yeah, really
could definitely hold down and be a starter. But it's just, when I compare the two, I see the vet, I see the experience with David that is going to be continued to appreciate within Jahmyr. So to me, it makes sense why David's getting the workload.
And they paid him money, right? They paid him money in the offseason. They gave him a pretty decent contract. So they obviously saw those things too. And, the narrative from the outside is, well, why did they draft this guy, Jahmyr Gibbs, 12th overall, if they're not going to use him? Well, again, 4 games in his career, like, I bet you his usage is not going to look like this throughout the duration of his career. And by the way, all that stuff, which is great and is so accurate with David Montgomery, that stuff doesn't show up necessarily in like yards per carry or something like that people will like use those two stats to compare these guys. Like, there's so much more nuance to it. But I'll tell you what, Lions in week 4, in the advanced stats, it does show up 4th in rushing EPA among all teams in week 4, 8th in rushing success rate, because David Montgomery with these type of intricacies is helping to just improve the down and distance of the offense.
Yeah. And man, if you go watch that Packer game, you can really see it. Like, it's on full display of David Montgomery doing all those little things right, finishing hard up the field as far as, breaking through tackles, finishing, falling forward. That's just one thing, just if you see guys that continue to fall forward, yeah, they're physical. Everyone's physical, but it's putting yourself in a body position where you're not running fully into a body. And it takes time to learn that in the NFL. It takes experience so that you can always continue to fall forward and get, a few more yards out of it. And so, man, I was really impressed when I went and saw that Green Bay Packer game. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I was definitely impressed watching it. And also, he's on my fantasy team, so like the 45 points or whatever. So nice. I was very happy with that as well. Let's talk receivers here. Like I said, I spent a lot of time charting these guys this morning. The first 2 guys that were drafted have actually been kind of the least productive. First, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, who the game against the Giants last night, I watched and charted that film this morning. And what's interesting, man? Again, he's, from a statistical perspective, has been very unproductive. I think he's averaging like 5 yards per catch. 5 yards per catch, Austin, is not exactly ideal. But you watch him run his routes, and I think he's actually playing really well. Like, he has a really good understanding of zone coverage, especially in the intermediate area of the field, which matches the scouting report. You know, the routes I charted week 2, the Lions game and the Giants game, like I said, was last night. 13.5% of his routes are digs. He runs a lot of out routes too, 11.5%. And like I said, he's got a pretty good understanding of zone coverage. He knows sort of like the holes to find. Still needs a little bit more work against man, right? In terms of just the leverage and timing and breaks and all that stuff. But it's just the problem with him from a fantasy angle is, yeah, JSN can be playing really well, but they've got a lot of dudes on that team there. They've got Tyler Lockett. They've got DK Metcalf. And lastly, this is something I noticed, again, watching the Giants game and the Lions game. They've got this, I think, undrafted free agent, Jake Bobo, who I think ran like a 4.7 or something. You know, he's not like a fast dude, but he's 6'4" and he's 207. And they love to get this guy out there ahead of JSN as a run blocker. Because look, if you don't appreciate wide receiver run blocking, we can't be friends. But here's the deal. So he's losing some snaps to this like UDFA because this guy Jake Bobo, he's bigger, he's physical, he's a pretty good run blocker out there, and JSN's just not really doing that. But at the same time, what we just talked about, tendencies and watching, if you're watching the Seahawks and you see them every time this Bobo guy's out there on the field and he's just run blocking, you're going to be like, well, this is a run play. So they still keep him out there on some pass plays. So I say all that to say, like, there's a reason that he hasn't necessarily been super productive yet. And it's like kind of a multi-layered thing that really doesn't have anything to do with him. Yeah. And then I'll just say this about receivers as well. Just being in, just an offense in the NFL, like you have like a number 1, number 2, number 3, like it's a thing. And how offenses, and I've been around like 3 or 4 now. Can't remember. I think 3, 4, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. But you have certain plays that are drawn up for your number 1, and that's going to be a majority. Like there's different reads, right, that quarterback goes through, and a lot of the time, your number 1 receiver is either the number 1 or number 2 in that. And so that's where your quarterback's looking probably first. Even if it's zone, stuff like that, you have these different tendencies to try to get these guys the ball. And so getting back to these plays where you have, these guys that are maybe like 3rd string on the depth chart, they're probably not going to be seeing a lot of volume. Because if we're trying to throw the ball, we have these dynamic guys that are like, hey, these are number 1, number 2. We're trying to get these guys the ball because they've proven they're our guys. And so when it comes to being like the number 3, even number 4, it's like, man, it's slim pickings out there for a receiver in that life. Just as far as getting into the progression of what we're trying to do. And that's, not even including the run game or the running back for all the checkdowns when things, go bad. So yeah, it's, as a receiver, man, it's tough. It's tough because as a running back, they hand me the ball, no matter what, I'm going to get a carry. But as a receiver, like not only do you have to get open, but then you might just be, falling victim to the progression of the plays and where you're sitting in those types of plays that you're just not getting the balls. That maybe you thought you would have. So that's just in general for all receivers, Next up here, Quentin Johnston, obviously your teammate, 21st overall. Look, it was pretty clear in the first few weeks, like this guy was not going to play over Keenan Allen. He's obviously not going to play over Mike Williams and even Josh Palmer. We talked about this in the preseason, right? That these guys have like trust. They've got experience, obviously, with Herbert and, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, especially. They make a ton of money. They're like proven players in the league. So last game, and I went back and charted this game for him because this was obviously the first game without Mike Williams. And again, it's pretty clear, like this is a guy who just needs the reps, right? This is his first game starting, his first game playing, I think, over 50% of the snaps. And it's still just, to me at least, is like a work in progress. But you see like the athletic potential. It's just a little bit of a work in progress there. Yeah, going back to what I was just saying, like Keenan's our guy. We're trying to get the guy. How can we get Keenan the ball? Yeah, and I want to give some props to Kellen Moore on this one because I came away from that game and I've looked at several games of Keenan and like the route concepts that he's got to get Keenan into space. And like that's another thing when you're running a receiver. Sometimes you're running a route that you're like, yeah, I'm not getting the ball on this.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I'm here to just clear space for the one, which in your guys' offense is obviously number 13.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of that, sometimes we all have our hand in it. Sometimes it's running back. Sometimes I'm out wide and I'm running a go ball, to get, the corner out of there, or the safety out of there and hold somebody. But yeah, like I just said, we have like number one, number two, Keenan is definitely our number one. Rightfully so. He's earned that. And even in year 11, he's still continuing to show that this man can play at a high level. It's crazy. Him and Devontae, man, they blow my mind. This guy's been playing for so long, but continue to be studs. And so for us, like I said, we have a lot of stud receivers. Mike, unfortunately, tore his ACL. So he's out. So that means someone else is going to be that number two now. And that's been Josh Palmer for us in the past. And, kind of like what Bijan's been doing, right? It's one of those things where you got to continue to earn reps. Like, you got to show us something, like it's not that you're not going to get the ball, but if you continue to show that you're in the right spot and make some plays, maybe it's run after catch, maybe it's some crazy spectacular catch, because Herbert's going to give you an opportunity. You're going to throw it up every once in a while to you. And if you can make those, which that's what Mike's done, that's how he became our stud number two, got a second contract, making $20 million a year, because Phillip Rivers used to throw it up to this guy, and Mike would come down with it every flipping time. He'd be like, this guy is unbelievable. And so there's an opportunity right now with Mike being out and Keenan being number one. It's like, okay, right now it's on Josh's shoulders. Josh, you got to be that guy for us, but also for all these other receivers as well.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, typically we talk about like the post-bye rookie bump. Obviously, your guy's bye is so early that maybe it won't necessarily happen right away for Quentin Johnston, but as the season goes on and they, again, plan more for him from an offensive standpoint, like Kellen plans more things for him and maybe design some stuff, we'll see maybe more of that like athletic ability and everything. But yeah, it takes time.
This guy is dynamic. I'll tell you that, man. Like watching this guy run, I'm like, dang, like I cannot wait to see this guy get the ball and have some space. Cause
like, how are you 6'4", bro?
Yeah, exactly. Like this man moves so smooth. He's so fast. And I'm just like, gosh, like we have this like little jumping pad in our weight room. And usually I'm at the top. Until this year, now Quentin Johnston has beat me every single time on this. Like,
wow,
it's like a power plate thing. And this man, he's 6'4", jumping like that. I'm just like, that is freakish. And so, man, like I said, I cannot wait to see this man just continue to grow and get some opportunity for him, because I think he's gonna pan out and be once he starts getting into the motion, getting into the flow of things, he's gonna be dynamic.
Yeah, that was my take. Definitely watching that game is like, it's just gonna take time for him to get into that, because like I said, that was his first game starting, and there's no reason to think that some of these guys can't crush it. Like even JSN can maybe start to carve out more of a role as the year goes on. Real quick, because I know we got to do bold predictions and get you out of here. Just the last two rookie receivers. I'll just say my thoughts here with Zay Flowers. I think this guy of the first round pick so far has been the best, has shown like that he's the dude so far. Again, there's been injuries in Baltimore. Beckham's banged up. Bateman's banged up. But man, Zay Flowers can like get open. He's got a great sense of zone coverage. And even though he's a smaller player, there were times against Denzel Ward and the Browns the last game. The Browns are great defense. Denzel Ward's a great corner. Like he can still show he can get off the line of scrimmage against press coverage. And like if you're a smaller receiver that can do that, and you can run routes in that way, that's very impressive. I would say with Jordan Addison, Minnesota Vikings, he's a good player. I think he has struggled a little bit in that press coverage standpoint when guys have gotten physical with him, because you can't, as a receiver, it's like you need multiple packages with your release moves. Like you can't just do the one thing. I think he's still sort of kind of just defaulting to what he did in college, but you also see that when this guy can get on top of you on crossing routes, on post routes and dig routes, he can make huge plays. But he's another one that's played a little bit. Obviously, he's played behind Justin Jefferson because that's like not even fair. But KJ Osborne, a vet that's been with the team for a while, has played over him too. So I think all of these guys have a lot of potential to grow in the second half of the season.
Bang! I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, it's always fun to follow these guys' career, and there's a lot of other guys that not just are in the first round that keep this game fun, man. Where it's like you see these young guys come out and do their thing.
Puka, man. Dude, Puka with the Rams is crazy.
That dude, yeah. They got what in the 5th round?
Yep, 5th round.
That's like, wow. Like seeing stories like that and then watching these people continue to blossom. Even like guys like Purdy, like what the heck? Like this guy, Mr. Irrelevant. Now he's, leading one of the most dynamic offenses out there. Like, man, it's great. it's great for the game. It's great for our stories. And I love to watch these young guys come out and get their opportunity to take advantage of it.
All right. Next week for the mailbag, there's a lot more rookies we could have covered, but alas, time is a factor here. Next week for the mailbag, Ask Austin the mailbag. Ask Austin at yahoosports.com. That is the where you're going to send your emails. We want to hear about your biggest fantasy draft day regret. What do you wish that you had done? Do you wish you were the person that was smart enough to take Puka Nacua in the 15th round? Is there a guy you drafted that you're not, you're questioning about? Is it going to ever happen for this player? My big sleeper is ever going to happen. Austin and I will help you and tell you if it is going to happen. We'll do that next week. So send your submissions into the mailbag. All right, Austin, since we're teaming up this season with the first ever Toyota Grand Highlander, the perfect vehicle for making new memories, we're going to create some memories of our own in this segment we are calling Future Snapshots. So make me a bold prediction. Who is going to have a memorable performance this weekend?
Well, so far I'm 0 for 3. And not just 0 for 3.
What can you do?
I might be, a cursed 0 for 3. There was some promise a little bit. Look, it was like, okay, maybe I'm not that bad, because my last prediction was Kenneth Walker, 130 all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns. He got half of that. Like, I don't think it was like right at half, actually. So this week, I'm looking at Tennessee. I'm looking at Derrick Henry, and I'm saying he's going for over 100 rushing yards. No, he finally popped off. And got back to his old Derrick Henry ways last week. And I'm saying he's bringing it back against the Colts and definitely going to get in that end zone as well. So I'm saying over 100 yards rushing, and we'll go with 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns. Love to see it.
That doesn't sound bold, but for me, like I'm trying to hit on something. Like, okay.
Yeah, you're trying to get on base, bro.
Let me get something rolling here.
Like I said, I 50% of my prediction last week where I said both Houston receivers I think were going to go over 100 yards. Well, Nico Collins went well over 100 yards, and Tank Dell kind of stood by and watched it happen, which is okay. I'll take that. For my bold prediction this week, you went with one of the best players in the NFL, a storied performer, Derrick Henry. I'm going to go with Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson is a top 10 fantasy quarterback in week 5 because he is going, look, he built some momentum with his last performance. Okay. He had a couple, maybe 3 nice drives and maybe built that confidence with his receivers, back shoulder stuff. Did fumble the game away at the end. Okay. But faces the Denver Broncos defense. And I'm sorry, man, but what are the Broncos doing on defense over there? They got communication issues, assignment, breakdowns is what it looks like. A lot of stuff going wrong there. We know they famously allowed 70 points. I think they allow Zach Wilson a top 10 fantasy quarterback performance here in week 5.
I like it. That's all right. All right. We'll see. We'll see if my curse, I got to break it. I like your prediction as well, man. Good stuff.
Yeah. We'll see if I don't come to regret saying that about Zach Wilson on public airwaves. So good luck to Zach on this one. All right. See, we're making memories every day here on Ekeler's Edge. Those were our future snapshots. Thanks again to Toyota and the first ever Grand Highlander. And thank you, Austin Ekeler, for a fantastic episode. That was absolutely electric. I know I probably kept you longer than I should have. And look, it was a great conversation.
Yes, it was. I'm looking forward to these mailbags. Let's see their regrets. We should have one as well so we can let them know.
I got plenty.
Hence the C-. We get it.
Yeah, we get it. Just maybe hoping for a C+ by the end of the year. But all right, that is going to do it for us today, folks. Tomorrow is Thursday, heading into a full slate of NFL action. So you know what that means. It's Dalton Del Don joining me for another episode of Stat Nerd Thursday, where we look at the most revealing stats, all 32 teams. One stat you need to know for all 32 NFL teams. Until then, we're out.